So, you're all very welcome to our midweek exhale. Our time on a Wednesday, what is for us evening, may not be for you, but what is for us evening to just pause and to take some time for yourself to rest. And we will, obviously, we have invited you here. We are going to guide things, but it is a time to rest. It is very much a time to take a pause from all the busyness that we all have in our lives and just take time for you, for whatever you need for the next hour. So, my name's Marie, and I'm one half of the Exhale Awakening, and somewhere on your screen, and she's there for me, but on the recording, she'll probably not be there, but is Sharon, and she's the other half of the Exhale Awakening. And we run these sessions every Wednesday, as I say, to pause in the middle of the week. Um, for anybody who's new to us, our sessions have the same shape. So we do generally do 4 breath styles in these sessions, and each breath style opens with some birdsong and finishes with some silence. And we do that 4 times. And we use the combination of birdsong, silence, and breath to bring you into your parasympathetic nervous system. The birdsong tells your body that you're safe because way back our brains still remember the fact that when the birds were singing, there were no predators, so we were safe. So we still can access that point of safety. And then it brings us into our parasympathetic nervous system. And the silence does the same, but then the silence also allows you to build new neural pathways in your brain. So even as you rest, you are building new brain cells, new bits of your brain. Um, in this session, we're going to breathe with the triangle. So we're going to open with some breath awareness, where we're just going to take time to leave behind whatever it is that we've come from and bring our attention to our body and our breath. Then we're going to move into 2 triangles. So we're going to do the upright triangle and we're going to do the downward triangle. And then in the final session, Sharon is going to bring them all together magically. No, we're not going to ask you to breathe both triangles at the one time or anything difficult like that, because that would just be nonsense. But we are going to bring the 2 triangles together. Um, as we do this, and maybe as I said that, maybe you've done triangle breathing before, and maybe there's oh, I don't like triangle breathing, and that is absolutely fine. The invitation is, however, to give it a go, because sometimes we do something and we don't like it, but it's not really that we don't like it, it's that just at that particular time it didn't suit us. So the invitation is, regardless of whether or not you've experienced it before, is to give it a go. But our we've 2 rules. We had one, I've increased it to 2. One of our rules is be comfortable, and the other rule is be kind, but we'll come to that later. But one of our rules is to be comfortable. So, I do want you to pay attention to your own comfort. I want you to pay attention to your own physical comfort, but I also want you to pay attention to your mental and emotional comfort. Now, having said that, we are going to do breath work, and breath work by its nature is inclined to shake things up a little bit, even when you're doing it, or maybe not even when you're doing it, maybe especially when you're doing it very gently. And for that reason, the invitation is, if it begins to feel uncomfortable, not to push through. Please don't push through. Please don't stay with it because you can. Don't do any of that. But acknowledge the discomfort and maybe sit with it. And while you feel safe and while you feel you are able to, just sit with that discomfort and see what happens. Always knowing that this is your experience, this is your hour. I mean, we invite you here to do the breath, yes, but we also make it very clear that this is your hour for rest. And if that discomfort does not sit right with you in this session, bring your breath back to normal. Bring your breath back to its own natural rhythm, and the discomfort will subside. So just being aware of that balance between being comfortable, but also acknowledging that sometimes breathwork asks us to look at things that are less comfortable, and feeling Where are you right now? How does that sit with you? And please, please listening to your body and listening to what you need right now. Trying to think, did I forget anything? I don't think I did. Okay, so I'm going to ask you to get yourself comfortable now. You can do this seated or you can do this lying down. If you're seated, please make sure that you're supported. You can also have your camera on or off, whatever makes it most comfortable for you, whatever makes it easiest for you to breathe. And sometimes we don't like breathing. Certainly for me, sometimes I don't like breathing with the camera on, and sometimes I do. Entirely your choice. Make sure if you're seated that you're supported. And make sure if you're lying down and maybe you have a pillow that it's not too high, because when it's too high, the airways aren't as clear as they might be. The other thing to say is, while you're doing this, you may feel you need movement. Please feel free to bring movement in. However, we would ask that you don't stand up quickly. When we do breath work, no matter what kind of breath work we do, we change the chemistry, our internal chemistry, and we can become lightheaded, which means if you get up very quickly, you can be dizzy and maybe fall. So if you are at home, if things happen, you may be needed, please allow your breathing to come back to its natural rhythm. Give yourself a few moments and then get up and do whatever it is you need to do. Also, if you want to bring sound and maybe at some point you'll feel you want to bring sound in, please, again, you're all on mute. So if it's okay for you to do in your space, feel free to bring sound in as well. Okay, that's a lot of talking. So let's get ourselves comfortable. And yeah, I'm going to start. Okay, so just taking a moment to be listening to the bird song and just noticing what's present for you right now. Maybe you're coming with a really busy mind full of all sorts of stuff and not judging yourself or being critical, just noticing that. Noticing the thoughts and trying not to get caught up on them, but also knowing that you very well might. And if you do, when you notice, bringing yourself back to the present moment. And maybe bringing your focus from your mind into your body. And just noticing what your body's telling you right now. Maybe there's tiredness or heaviness, even pain. Maybe there's lightness or tingling, and try not to judge it or decide whether it's good or bad. It just is. And taking a moment to notice if there are any emotions present. Sometimes we come with lots of emotions, different emotions. Sometimes it's just one big emotion. And sometimes it's very hard to find the emotions. And all of that's okay. And now just allowing your focus to move to your breath. And putting as much of your attention as you can on your breath. And feeling the inhale and feeling the exhale. with no need to change it right now, just noticing it as it is. Although maybe just bringing attention to it will change it, and that's okay too. And if you find your mind drifting from your breath, as soon as you notice, gently bring it back. But knowing that it very well might happen again and again. Maybe noticing where you feel the breath right now. And how do you feel the breath right now? And maybe finding one point, whether it's your chest moving or your belly moving, or where the inhale's entering your body, just finding one point and focusing there. Again, if you find your mind drifting, just gently bringing it back. Bringing it back to the breath, maybe to that point, to that movement. Maybe finding moments where everything else melts away and it's just you and your breath, and even they're only brief moments. And we're in our last minute here now, so maybe putting a little bit more of your focus on your breath, even just a little tiny bit. And as the birds and the music begin to fade, getting ready to rest in silence for the first time in this session.
And as the birdsong brings the first silence of the evening to a close, just gently reflecting on how that felt. Maybe it's the first time you've spent in silence today. Or maybe you've been in silence already and you can compare how you're feeling. So every moment is unique. And in our next section of breath, we're going to breathe with the upward triangle. Our 2 feet on the ground and our head in the clouds. That's the shape we're making. So we are going to inhale as we go up the side of the triangle. We're going to exhale as we come down the side of the triangle. And we're going to hold our breath along the bottom of the triangle. And then we're going to repeat. Inhale, exhale, and then hold along the bottom. And you can choose your count. I'm going to just cue you to count to 4. You find your own rhythm, either counting in your mind, using your fingers, bringing each of your fingers to your thumb, or just let your body naturally fall into a rhythm. Just letting your next exhale just sit at the bottom of your breath. And inhale, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Inhale, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 2, 3, 4. And hold, 2, 3, 4. You're following your own rhythm now, finding your own body in the rhythm of the breath. Remember the triangle. Inhale, exhale, hold. And if your mind has wandered, don't worry, let's just bring it back gently to the triangle breath, the upward pointing triangle. Inhaling, going straight into an exhale, and then holding along the bottom. And if you feel like you need to adapt the count, maybe extend it, maybe shorten it. In this last minute, just listen to your body and respond to what you need. And as the music gently fades, letting your breath return to its natural rhythm as we move into the silence.
And as the birdsong once again brings the silence to a close, taking a moment to to notice what that silence was like. Maybe it was different to the first silence. Maybe it was exactly the same. And in our next segment, we're going to return to the triangle, but this time we're going to do the downward triangle. So our feet still on the ground, but this time we're rooting down deep. So where the last time you held when your lungs were empty, this time you're going to hold at the top of the inhale. So we're going to exhale, inhale, hold. Exhale, inhale, hold. And it might take a few goes to make sure you've changed, and don't worry about that. Just notice. But I'm going to count 2 triangles with you just to get you started. So this time I want you to pause at the top of your next inhale. And then we're going to exhale. 2, 3, 4. Inhale. 2, 3, 4. Hold. 2, 3, 4. Exhale. 2, 3, 4. Inhale. 2, 3, 4. Hold. 2, 3, 4. And continuing with that, but finding your own length. Maybe you won't count. Maybe you'll just let your body come into its own rhythm. And maybe you want to make your hold a little shorter than your inhale and exhale, and that's okay too. But this time holding at the top. So exhale, inhale, hold. Noticing what it's like to hold at the top. Exhale, inhale, hold. Exhale, inhale, hold. Holding this time with air in your lungs. And if your mind has been distracted or pulled away from it, just noticing that too and gently bringing it back. Gently coming back to your exhale, your inhale, and your hold. And again, just noticing if you're still counting, do you need to change the count? Or maybe can you let go of the count and just let your body find its own rhythm? And at the end of your next hold, just allowing your breath to come back to its natural rhythm. As we get ready to rest again in the silence.
And as the birdsong begins again, just noticing how the silences are dropping into your body as we move through the session. Notice if they feel any different, or perhaps you can't sense any difference at all. The key here is not to judge, but simply to notice, to bring it to your awareness. And in our final segment for this evening, I'm not going to invite you to change your breath. I'm going to invite you to settle into your natural rhythm. But rather than bringing awareness to your body and your emotions and your mind like we do at the beginning of a session, I'd like you to bring your attention to the two triangles that we've breathed with. The upward facing triangle that joins the earth up to the sky, and the downward facing triangle that joins the sky down to the earth. In a two-dimensional Merkaba, or maybe if you have a great imagination, a three-dimensional Merkaba. And as you're imagining those triangles, imagine you stood in the center of them. The energetic center between the earth and the sky. And you don't have to do anything differently. And you don't even have to believe anything, actually. The sacred geometry of shapes, the building blocks of how the universe was created, supports us. The connection between earth and sky supports us. And all you're doing here is just breathing with that, breathing in that space. And feeling that connection. Just knowing that when the earth feels like it's getting a bit much and it's too busy, you can take your focus up to the spaciousness of the sky and rest there for a while. But also knowing that when you've spent a lot of time in the air, in your mind, in your head, You can bring your attention back down to your feet, back down to the earth you stand on. And you can ground your thinking. We're in the last minute now of our breath work. But just allow that awareness of the Merkaba to gently fall away. Bring your attention to your own body, your own energy, your own mind. And notice how you're feeling. Notice any sensations. Notice any thoughts. And we're going to move into the silence for the last time this evening. Just allow that to be what it needs to be.
And as the birdsong begins for a final time in this session, just noticing how you experience the silence and the birdsong and the breath. Maybe taking a moment to notice what, if anything, has changed from when you began. And knowing that however you answered that, it's absolutely perfect. But our final birdsong is a signal too that our time together is almost at a close. So beginning to think about the journey back. Maybe bringing some gentle movement into your fingers, your toes, maybe your wrists and ankles, shoulder, your head. Maybe stretching or yawning, whatever your body needs right now to begin to come back to the physical space you're in, but also to the Zoom room that we're in together. And if your eyes are closed, gently opening them and looking around at familiar things in your space. And if you're lying down, thinking about turning over onto your side and slowly getting up to sitting. And as you orient yourself in your own space, coming back to join us in the Zoom room.
And whilst you're doing that, I'm just going to take the opportunity to bring your attention to a couple of links in the chat box if you're here with us live, or probably underneath if you're watching us on a recording. So firstly, where can you get the recordings? So we put these on YouTube, and we have new breaths going up every day on YouTube. So if you use YouTube, do subscribe and like them, because they give us a little grin and a little smile every time we get another thumbs up. But if you would like to watch them without ads, then you can also see the recordings in our Exhale library, along with a whole host of other things like daily, every few days prompts and different aspects of breathwork that we have there to show you. And you can sign up to that for free. We do have 2 monthly breathwork sessions on the 4th Friday of the month and on the 2nd Sunday of the month. The 2nd Sunday happens to be Sunday coming, and it's a 3-hour mini retreat with the alder tree. It has its roots in water and obviously its branches in the sky. So it talks to us about kind of non-typical scenarios, I guess. And most exciting of all, our 3-day breathwork gatherings are coming together beautifully, and we are about to launch or announce our retreat in Yorkshire at the end of May, and in Donegal, date to be confirmed, but keep a watch on. And if you have signed up to the wait list, the link of which is in the chat, you will be told first, so that if you are interested, you can get your ticket before they go on general sale. And finally, if you wanted to contact us, you don't want to be in the community, you can use our directory link listing there. It's an open directory where you can contact us. And of course, you can also leave us a review. We do love getting reviews. So thank you in advance if you could do that for us. And on that note, I'm going to stop the recording.